but the 3 ones. So it's easy to remember, right? The 3 ones. 31. So the 3 ones, this is our standard, this is our culture, 100 doors. Like, we're not selling water systems or windows or something like that, you know, it's a short sale, and you should be able to get to 100 doors. And so marking 100 doors, updating at least 100 doors. I used to do 100 doors in my first 4 hours, and then I would re-knock those 100 doors my second 4 hours. Like, lots of people in the industry knock 250 doors a day to sell big accounts. Like, 250 is not a crazy number. You guys should be getting to the 200, 250 number if you're really hustling. The guys who sell big numbers, that's what they're doing. So just so you know. So that's the standard thing. Like, I don't know. If you're really into it, does that make sense? Am I crazy for saying that?
No.
Like, okay. 1 sale a day, I mean, who agrees that you want 1 sale a day at least, right? Like, and that everybody should get 1 sale a day. Like, that should be your goal. Like, if you go out there for freaking 6 hours, like, you should make 1 sale. And I know it's crazy hard out there. I know the emotions, trust me, and the emotions never really go away. Like, you just get a little bit better at it and know that, yeah, I got this emotion, but I still know what the results will be. And then this is really what I want to talk about. 1 more. Who's heard of like the 1 more principle? Every single person's here. Perfect. Great. There's a book called Extreme Ownership. I don't know if you guys have read it. It's by Jocko, really hard military guy. And that's one of the principles of extreme ownership is 1 more. 1 more. So what does that principle mean though? Everyone knows it. What's 1 more?
When you're super tired and you don't want to keep going, 1 more block. And then when you're done with that, 1 more door. You're trying to get 1 more sale. Trying to get 1 more conversation. Just keep doing that and you'll be like way surpassing your old numbers.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like 1 more. Do any of you have any experiences with 1 more?
Yeah, well, I mean, the other day, me, Drew, and Josh were all knocking, and they were all like, let's go, like, you know, already got 2 sales, I've got a sale, and I was like, I have 0. I'm like, we're going 1 more block, I'm not leaving until we get 1, and then I got 1, and then we left. So, you know, it was like the last door, it was like the last house on that block, and I got him, so, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And so that's actually, I'm sure you all have stories, that's actually exactly what I want to talk about right there, is because when I would sell, I got to where it was 5 every day consistently. Like that was a floor day. I was always pushing for the 10, and I was hitting 7, 8, 10, 12, 5, free. Like what happened today? You know, there's a random, occasional, like a little bit lower than that. And I'm sure you guys are like, how? Like you guys are like, I want that so much, right? And so there's another thing I want to talk about, which in it, I sold 100 accounts, like 5 a day, my 2nd month doing this, after 30 days of doing it. So how did I do that? Because I obviously wasn't like the best salesperson in the world yet, right? Pretty new. So how did I do that? What do you guys think? My closing ratio obviously wasn't there probably. There's numbers. Do you guys know your metrics in this system? What are your metrics? Hours, doors, decision makers, pitches, quotes, sale, right? So there's lots of numbers. My closing ratio wasn't quite there yet, so what did I do?
Talk to a lot of people, knock on a lot of doors.
Quantity, volume. And I made a sacrifice. I was like, make it or break it. Like I was gonna die, so I had that extra push. And what I did is I was like, in this meeting thing, I was like, right after it, like I am on the doors right away, and I'm going all day long into the dark. So I worked like 12 hours that first little bit, and with that much time, I made sales. Like I was like, I'm gonna make sales. So I made like 1, 2, 3 sales, and I was like, whoa. I did another big day, and I built the identity in myself that I sell 3 a day. So when I go, I expect to sell 3. I expect 3 people to buy. I'm like, okay, I need to sell 3, and I got 3 hours, so I'm gonna get a sale here soon. I can't make 3 hours in the last hour. So that's the first thing I did, was just kind of volume, right? And I wanted to kind of, and I know I'm kind of, I wanted to fill you guys in a little bit on the pitches, because I know we just kind of switched pitches, and they're both right, but I wanted to help you guys understand a little bit more kind of the theory behind them, so you guys understand. Like my pitch, the one that you initially memorized and like switch over and stuff, that's for high volume. That's for high closing ratio. Like I love sales, I love getting into the details of it. So if you look at like my pitch, like that PowerPoint and that switchover stuff, it's very detailed, and it's like say this word and that word and this and that, right? It's like, it works though. Like I always wanted to sell 1,000, I was like, that means I need to close everybody I talk to. That's not actually true, kinda. If you wanna sell the most accounts, you don't have to close everybody. It's almost, you waste time closing everybody. Because I would close 1 in 3 people, which meant they would say, completely not interested, screaming at me, and I'd still sell them. I'd be like, do this, and I'd do that, and they'd say no, and I'd roll them this way, and they'd say no, and I'd roll them that way. They'd be like, good, and I'd break off and talk about personal stuff, and roll it back in, and I'd sell another thing, and drink another thing, and resolve always close. Like, I think some people have been with me, like that Indian guy,
Yeah.
where I was there for like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and finally got down to the minimum price, and I was like, what the heck, dude? Like, when they're not buying, I'm like, why are you not buying right now?
Yeah.
Like, I 100% expect you to buy, and you're not. Like, what is going on? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I just gave you my whole 30-minute thing. It works on everybody. Why are you not buying right now?
You didn't have anybody.
Like, I was
You
like,
get mine.
I was like patting him on the back. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, dude. Like, why are you not
Yeah.
doing this? But I spent a lot of time, burning a lot of time, because we went and we ran into people who were like, oh yeah, how many of you guys have ever knocked on the door and they're like, it works, like they're interested. They're like, oh, what's cheap? And like, you're like, oh, cool, right?
Yeah.
So the other pitch, the Vantage pitch, is designed for that, right? So just so you guys understand, it's a very short intro, and then you're more gauging for their interest. That's what you're looking for. It's less about like your pitch, and you're just finding their interest. So you do a quick little intro, and then and you guys know how that goes, and then you say, I'm doing it for super cheap, and you're gauging for their interest. You want them to talk. They didn't talk? Okay, cool. No, I'm not interested. Okay, boom, like you're off. Like that's one check, and then you're like, cool. Well, just so you know what's going on, let me show you what's happening over here. Well, actually, like the first one, right? In the intro, you say, hey, I'm sure you know like Nancy, Harry, Manager, Dan, Camp Pest Control. We've been getting a lot of these like ants and spiders, and what's the first thing that you're looking for? Is for them to lean in. You're looking at them, and if they don't like lean in, then they're not interested, right? And then you go, and the next thing, I'm doing it for super cheap, and if they don't ask, they're not interested. So then you're like, okay, and you're gonna try that 3 times, test them 3 times, you're gonna say super cheap. Okay, well let me show you what everyone's been dealing with, just so you know. Up here in the eaves, we get a lot bunch of mud daubers, spiders, creates the need, right? They just cut down all the trees, so everything has to build on your house, if that makes sense. Like, oh, okay. So you just created the need, you gave a reason why. You know, wasps, they love nesting up under eaves, right? Cool. So they're not gonna be able to nest anywhere else because there's no mature trees in the area, so all of them are gonna nest on your house. And then you know what happens, they end up getting into the attic and dropping down inside, right? Plus they kind of deter the like aesthetic effect of your home, I'm sure you've seen. And so you create the need, and then you're like, so what needs to be done is I need to take a brush and I put a special product in there, and I need to clean those eaves down all the way around the home. Now you can do that yourself, but what happens? Come back the next day. That's why we put that special product in there, so it makes it last. Plus we'll come back for free if you ever need anything. But you'd be shocked, like you'd be like, what's the next one?
Surprised.
You'd be surprised at how cheap we're doing it. And then you're what? Gauging for interest. If you're not getting interest, like, dude, this person's not hot, you could sell them. Trust me, they could be sold, but it's not worth your time to sell them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was having a time with. I was like, I know I can sell you. And it was just more of a personal thing to me, but it cost me my golden door probably. If I had just been quick with it, I probably would have sold more. Because all you know how to make a sale, right? If they say, what's super cheap? Boom, it's a sale, right? You know how to make a sale, just find more of those. And when you don't get those, it's their fault. If they're not engaging, it's their fault. They're not engaging. So they're not your sale for today. So don't waste your time trying to sell them. And don't feel bad when they don't buy it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just trying to, and it's very quick because, like, when David, he was like, oh, I'm talking to 40 to 60 people a day. Those are quick conversations, right? So then you do then you do another, create the need, which is what, like on the base. Cool, well, just another thing to be aware of, since we are treating everybody, you'll probably see some kind of bugs move around. You know, one of the big things you're gonna get, and do they follow you, right? And that's with the first Eve thing. You're like, well, let me show you what you're doing. Did they follow you or did they not follow you? Okay, dude, you're not giving me anything. You're not engaged. You'll still do it. You'll still kind of do it. You'd be surprised. Nothing. And you're like, one more chance, dude, and I'm firing you. Like, I'm saying no to you. And then you come down and you're like, yeah, look down here. If they're not engaging and you explain it well, who knows how to explain the services? Okay, right? Each base, yard, pretty simple. You know how to explain it? You explain it, yeah, the eaves, you get the weed poles so the roaches and ants get in there. You know, what we need to do is do a 3 foot by 3 foot barrier so they don't get inside, causing them structural damage or like popping out when your friends over or something. But man, like seriously, you would be shocked at what we're doing it for. And they give you nothing, then you're like, cool, like sounds